I'm sitting with Peter James. He's got an interesting approach to the election this year. He's running for president, but only in those swing states that he can get on the ballot. Peter, you want to speak with us about that?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple other states that have low ballot access initiatives, like Idaho and Utah, Tennessee. But my goal is to get people to wake up to the dangers of artificial intelligence. If you go to my website, pjames.us, there's a bunch of videos on Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, the godfather of AI, a lot of AI scientists that have turned around, quit their jobs and saying, we made a big mistake, we need to shut this down. And I don't know that we're going to have to worry about all these other issues if we don't do something fairly quickly. And looking at Biden's executive order, he basically says we're going to study it and then we're going to fund it. And I think this is a big mistake. I've been working with AI for over 40 years, and it's the awakening, and it could possibly be the emergence of the image of the beast in Revelations. My second biggest issue is fixing the economy by issuing money, interest-free money directly from the Treasury, like Kennedy did 6 weeks before he was shot, and Andrew Jackson. The only time the U.S. has not had a federal debt was when Andrew Jackson went in and killed the second bank of North America. And I think this will solve so many problems. We've got a nation living paycheck to paycheck. Most people have to work 2 jobs just to pay the bills. And whenever we've seen direct issuance of money that doesn't bear interest, we've seen prosperity. If you go back, like I said, Andrew Jackson, no federal debt, wiped out the federal debt. We can in an instant take all the federal debt, which we're paying over $1 trillion in interest right now, that would go away because it paid off. I'm a constitutionalist, strict constitutionalist. There's a bunch of cabinet agencies that aren't authorized by the Constitution that I would shut down, and really push the governance back to the states.
Which are some of those agencies that you would shut down?
Well, Health and Human Services, Department of Education, the EPA, half of the Department of Commerce, so leave the part that has to do with regulating interstate commerce, and a lot of the little ones. I might keep part of the CDC to look at bioweapons and things like that, but pretty much across the board. And that would force the states, but one of the things is that the states, because of the federal government's ability to borrow money, which the states don't have, there needs to be some mechanism for them to get funding. So I would issue money directly from the Treasury, but provide interest-free loans to the states to build infrastructure, schools, roads, bridges, that sort of thing that would create jobs, but also provide an economic boost, and not have to pay the interest. The problem is there's a good video called Money is Debt, and I suggest number 2 on YouTube, and it explains the Ponzi scheme, which is our money system. And but primarily, above all these issues, is the emergence of godlike AI. And most people, because they perceive the future in a linear fashion, don't understand the geometric growth that's going on right now with artificial intelligence. Like I said, I've been working with it for 40 years, and it has appeared flat with a slow growth, but now we're seeing a tenfold increase in the intelligence power over as short as 8-month period. So I believe if you go to pjames.us, you'll see a lot of videos with the godfather of AI, the ex-head of Google's Google X project, which is all the bleeding edge stuff. They're all coming out and saying we've made a big mistake. We need to look at shutting it down.
Let me ask you, you chose to focus your efforts on swing states. Why is that?
Well, I have an uncle, William Sakanikas, that was in the most decorated unit in the Second World War. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge and was able to stop one of the four Panzer columns. And John Eisenhower wrote a book called The Bitter Woods, and he dedicated a chapter to that unit. And they basically, in my mind, won the war for us. And I believe the talk and the people that are surrounding Trump right now are a huge threat to our democracy. And I can see a breakup. There's so much angst amongst Americans because they're not getting ahead. They don't see a future. And I believe Trump is using that. So I want to take those votes from Trump. Not that I like Biden any much more, but I'm really fearful of a fascist government taking hold. If you look at, certain entourage. I mean, if you saw the news a couple of days ago, one of his volunteers posted on his website some projected news articles of his victory, and they used the term unified Reich, which it's one of Hitler's terms. So I see this kind of Aryan fascist component that's feeding off of America's frustration with the status quo, and they see their future dwindling, and Trump is very smart in using that. So I want to keep him from being president, and hopefully be able to push it into the House at the very least. Who knows? There could be a snowball effect. I did run when there was a collapse in 2008. I was trying to warn the public, so I decided to run for Congress. Ron Paul endorsed me, and I was running against 3 other Republicans at the time, and I won by a 20% margin, a pretty wide margin, spending no money. So I believe I'm using AI avatars to go out and run my campaign, and believe I can use that technology to reach the people that typically takes hundreds of millions of dollars to do.
It is possible for sure to use new technologies to. The existing political structures are pretty flat-footed in the face of a whole bunch of changes that have happened over the last 10, 15 years, and there is space in there to do. So let me ask you a question. Clearly, you don't think in static terms; you think in dynamic terms. You look at how you're looking at the growth of AI that way, for example, and multiple dimensions. Right? And looking at, let's say you block Trump, and we get Biden, and the frustration that he's manipulating, the way you say it, that he's manipulating, the way he's manipulating, is going to increase, and Trump isn't the only agent willing to exploit that. So what happens?
I don't think Biden's much better, but the sliding into some form of civil war or a totally fascist government is something I think is less likely with Biden. And my goal is to win. I mean, obviously, or push it into the House and maybe someone else, a Kennedy. Yeah. But mostly, if you look back in the 30s, we had the socialists running in every election. They never won. But we ended up with the Democrat and Republican Party pressured into implementing Social Security and other programs.
So you're thinking that your candidacy, if it's successful, fully developed, would put some pressure on Biden to change course somewhere?
Well, I think hopefully to get the population to understand the threat. Like when I ran in 2008 with Ron Paul's endorsement for Congress, I saw the collapse coming. I was swing trading with our family money, and it was obvious to me that this was happening. And I felt like Chicken Little because the public had no clue. They thought the economy was doing great. And it's the same thing with AI now. Most people don't perceive it. They've used maybe some of the chat bots, and they're cute. Actually, they're passing bar exams and pretty smart, but they don't. I played a lot of sports when I was younger, and you never went to where the ball is. You go to where the ball's going to be. And so most people think of the future in a linear fashion. So it's going to get, twice as big or whatever, but we're going through with AI this exponential growth. And it could be upon us as short as 6 months, it could be upon us 10 years, but somewhere in that range. And now we're seeing Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, who developed this, used the neural nets, and he left Google. And he said, he was on CBS and said, I made a mistake. One of the smartest humans we've ever had, Stephen Hawking, right before he died, said we have two things to worry about for human extinction, and one is asteroids, and the second is artificial intelligence. Elon Musk has been beating his chest and saying we're summoning the demon, and I think this is by far the biggest issue we have to address, and the problem is that the public is pretty much clueless. We might see 10% of the people kind of understand the issue, but this is such a pressing problem. In 4 years, it might be gone. But we're already seeing negative effects. We're seeing mental health go down because we've got these recommendation engines, AI driven. I was shut down, and I just ran for a local office. I had 85,000 highly involved voters mailing lists, and both Google and Microsoft cut off my emails. So that to me, that's another $1 billion lawsuit. So what I'm doing now is actually fighting fire with fire, building an AI, which right now I consider safe, to go out and replicate what is being done with the hundreds of millions of dollars spent by Trump and Biden, to use that technology and actually get people to interact with it, to understand that maybe this is something we need to be concerned about.
Peter, thank you very much for your time.